it's Ivy Slater, and you're listening to Her Success Story podcast, a show where gutsy businesswomen share their success journey. Hi, this is Ivy Slater. Welcome to today's episode of Her Success Story. I'm so excited to bring you a woman who I truly admire and am inspired by. Melissa Aarskaug is an accomplished global executive and business leader within the technology and cybersecurity sectors. With over 15 years' experience, she has demonstrated expertise shaping strategic direction, leading teams, and forging partnerships with Fortune 500 companies. She is currently serving as the global SVP of the Gaming Laboratories International with 1,700 plus employees. Melissa, thank you so much for taking time out of, I know you're a very, very, very busy schedule, to join me here on Her Success Story.
Thank you so much for me being here, for inviting me to be here today, Ivy. I'm excited to chat with you.
So I have to say, your background is technology, cybersecurity.
Yes.
And you transitioned to the gaming industry. Like, I have to ask about the backstory. I could read all about you, and the listeners can read, but I love when you share this story of like where you stepping into opportunity, you taking risks. You are such an inspiration. So I have to ask, share the backstory with our listeners.
Yes, absolutely. I always joke, much like a lot of my life, things have happened. And for me, I just applied for the wrong job. And when the HR department called me, I decided it was interestingly an opportunity for me to connect and learn more about an industry that I knew nothing about. So I went in for the interview, and I've been at the organization for almost 13 years, and I've had many different hats and many different roles over those 13 years.
So, woman to woman here for a second. When I think about a gaming industry, and I could be 1,000% wrong, so it's a true question, it's not a leading question. I think about an industry that is a heavily male-dominated industry. Is that still true?
Yeah, I think it is still true. We're kind of niched in a sense that gaming is a niche, and then technology and cybersecurity and gaming is another niche in a regulated industry. So it's pretty niche down. 99% of the people I deal with, 99% of the people I deal with are men. And there is not a lot of women in these type of roles regularly.
But how have you made your way? How have you stated your, kind of created your own mark and become a leader with a strong following?
Yeah, I think, when I first took the job at Gaming Laboratories International years ago, I didn't know anyone in the industry. I had no contacts, no experience, and it was really like a blank piece of paper, and I was writing and learning and growing. And so there was, the company's part in teaching me what I needed to do my job. But then there was also my own part of learning the industry, understanding it, learning about the regulations and what worked and what, pain points were for a lot of our clients. So I took it as an opportunity to learn something new and, ask the right questions to people, have the right meetings, listen more than I talked, and sat at the right tables, and made a lot of friends across a lot of verticals. A lot of the people that started with me, Ivy, back in those early days are not in the same roles, in the same industry. I would say a very small percent of those people are. A lot of people have transitioned outside to other industries like tech or healthcare. And so I've seen a lot of changes in the last several years of people transitioning to new roles and new companies.
I know you're very passionate. We're going to go back to the gaming industry in a minute, but I know you're very passionate about keeping connections going. So in all these people who have transitioned and doing different things at different times, how do you with full-time job, a full family, how do you keep your connections going? How do you manage to keep up with people?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think a lot of times it's not just me that keeps up with people. I think people keep up with me. And it's give and take. If you're always the person calling someone, then over time, is that the right relationship? It's give and take. So a lot of the people that reach out to me, I've had long-term relationships with. Sometimes we talk 6 months later or a month later or a year later, but we pick up just where we left off. And I think, when building those relationships with people, I think we think more transactional. I need a this, you do a that, let's talk and make friends. And that's really not relationships, right? Relationships are, more than just, I'm looking for a real estate agent, you're the agent, I sell the home and I move on. Because that agent can help you find a new property after you sell the property. They can help you, maybe you wanted to get into the rental market space. So I think it's really how you look at your relationships. For me, I tend to listen and know people's family and their spouses and where they went to school and really what makes them tick and find commonalities between them and me.
And I love that. And I think that's so important. I mean, I have talked for years about the value of building, developing, and working relationships, that it's not a passing through, it's a foundation and you've landed and you continue to build. And I think that's so important. And I think, or I'll put it this way, I hope um, all the younger people in this world continue to find the value and put the time and energy into seeing that golden nugget in the relationship.
Oh, absolutely. I think you make a really good point. I think, if you have 500 likes on your social profiles, is that really a friendship and a relationship? I would say no. I would say my best friends aren't always the ones that are commenting and liking, but they'll call me and say, "What was that?" Or "What is this?" Or "Oh my God, you're in Europe." And so I think relationships aren't, we've kind of moved into a space now where they're likes or subscribes or whatever. It's not that. It's, when you're packing your house up, move into a new house, who shows up? When you have
Yeah.
a baby or you get married or things happen in your life or Christmas comes, who's sending you a Christmas card? Who's calling to wish you happy birthday? And giving that to others as well, right? Not just taking it, but giving, wishing people happy birthday and Merry Christmas and all those things, and really meaning it.
And when you got involved in the gaming industry, you didn't just like take the job. You became the leader in your own right. And I know you have been highlighted for some tremendous accomplishments. What was it, 40 under 40, right? Um, as well as other things. How, when you take on a role, what do you see as some suggestions for our listeners to truly not just taking that job, but truly immersing yourself? What were some of the tips or guidelines you might suggest?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say one of the things I think, going back to what I said a little bit ago, is always taking, right? The employer is providing you a job and it's your job to do your best job at that job. And it may be something that's not completely outlined in your job description, right? So there's a lot of things that I do every day and have done every day since I've been at this company that is not in my job description. Like, you mentioned 40 under 40 or, speaking gigs, like that was not in my job description when I started the company. And so I think it's really taking the opportunity, as no matter where you are in an organization, where you can make things better. What can you provide to the company that they might not see, or things they might need to fix? I joked years ago, we had, not at the company I work for now, at another company, we had a really small minor challenge. And I was really young. And when I found this challenge, and me fixing this challenge saved a company $100,000 a year. And it was something that they
Yeah.
never thought of. It was something that I came up in my early 20s to fix. And it ended up saving the company money. But had I just gone on and noticed, that they would have never noticed it. So we all have different, experiences and opportunities to shine where we work every single day.
What has surprised you? What has surprised you in being part of the gaming industry and the career that you've truly now set for yourself for your future for now or for always? Who knows?
That's a great question. What surprised me? So many ththings. I think so many things. Let me pick one.
Well, listeners, hang tight. We got a laundry list.
Right. I think the one thing that surprised me the most is some of the people in this industry have become my best friends. And had I not been in this industry, I would not have made them. So the friendships I've made is definitely one. The second thing is, this industry and technology really keeps you on your toes. Every year we talk about, the next best thing or the next thing. And the gaming industry finds a way to pivot and survive magically and still grow profits and, be bigger, better, stronger, faster. And so what I love is there's a lot of problems to solve while the industry is innovating and really listening to its customers. I think back to, the old Blockbuster analogy and now we all get on Netflix and, the gaming industry reinvents and re-evolves itself. I grew up in Las Vegas. I've seen Las Vegas Boulevard change and evolve hundreds of thousands of times in my life. And they
And
continue
still evolving.
Exactly. They continue to still bring the heat all the time, new restaurants, new clubs, new everything. And they're still with the world's best. And so I think the one thing, the message that I think Vegas can teach everyone is listen to your customers and evolve and ask and learn and listen. And Vegas does that really, really well. I remember back in the day, Vegas, when you walked into MGM, they had a tiger's mouth or a lion's mouth that you would walk through in Las Vegas. And they spent a lot of money to put this up and they quickly took it down they had certain players that would not walk through the mouth of a lion. So they took it down quick, they fixed it. And I think Vegas is going to continue to do that and be that. And we just saw this year that recently they hosted the Indy 500
Yeah, I remember. I saw that.
it was crazy. I'm like, Vegas is going to have and so they did it. And it's just continues to change and evolve. And, they constantly are blowing up casinos and building new ones and new interesting things. So I love that about this industry is the not only just opportunity to grow and build, but Vegas is a culmination and the gaming industry of a lot of different industries outside of just gambling.
So I have to ask you, for Melissa, you're a woman who jumped in with 2 feet. You didn't just come in for a job. You truly built a career. You got involved in various parts of the industry. And you're a mom of several kids and you're married. And so on a almost a realistic, practical side, how do you figure out what I will not call, because I literally just recently did a podcast episode on that. I don't believe in work-life balance. I believe in work-life priorities, because there's just times that, priorities are the families. There's times priorities are my job, my work, my career, my business. And it varies day to day, moment to moment. And for me, balance, I've never striven for balance. Okay. Because I know as a former dancer, you can only balance for so long. You're going to go down.
Yep.
How do you navigate the whole family piece?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would absolutely agree with you. I don't believe and there's no such thing as balance. I think from my perspective, it's really integration and creating a life that you want. What works for me does not work for a lot of other moms. And how we, family is my priority. My family, my children, my husband, and those friends of mine that are also my family have always been and will always be at the forefront of my life. I do everything for them. And it's in, like last week and the week before, I've been traveling. So I was gone. I've been in 6 states in the last 2 weeks.
Wow.
FaceTime my children. I talk to my husband all the time. We catch up on what he needs to get done for our house while he's home taking care of our family and what I can handle at night on the road. And so it's really constant collaboration with my husband, with the kids. And, sometimes kids want to collaborate and sometimes they don't. It's okay. I let them talk for as much as they want and then they go on their day. But my family is at the focus of everything for me, and I do it all for them. Which means sometimes it's tough parenting, right? Parenting is not easy these
True.
days, and telling children no and that they have to do things they never like that. But that's, parenting. And so I think balancing it all is not something that um I agreed. Like I was saying, last week I was traveling. This week I'm home. So I'm very focused on my family and what needs to be done around my house. And then just prioritizing things. So every morning I start my day with what I need to get done personally and professionally every single morning. I don't stop doing that. So if something slips from yesterday's list to today, I move it to today's list. And sometimes I'll tell you, I've had things on my list for months and they'll get to it when I need to get to it and when they become a priority. And so I very much start my day with intention and purpose before attacking the day. So I have a strategy and a plan.
I appreciate that. And I love that. I also have an intention every day. I meditate every morning, especially before I get started with my work and my life and the integration, as you well said, of this one here that day, this one here is doing this, that, the other thing, whether it be clients, friends, family, and all of the above. I find it's important for me. I like to ground myself, and I write. I'm a calendar addict. Where some people like have that list that keeps going. I keep putting things in my calendar so I know I have the space to get it done, or I know I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point. I run my day. My day doesn't run me. Like people often
Well
ask me
said.
like, how do you juggle, all that you juggle, being on boards and, having a podcast and having a job and having 4 children and all the things that I juggle. And I do it because I know what I'm focusing on and what I'm driving towards. So I understand where I'm going. And I know my life is not just my life alone, it's for others as well. So part of my belief system is to pay it forward and give back to not just my immediate family, but the world, right? So I feel very led to help pay it forward and give to others. And you mentioned 40 under 40, and I'm serving my second term of global gaming businesses 40 under 40 with the specific reason to help keep under 40 in this gaming industry. So I'm very mindful and purposeful with that. And I also serve in capacity global gaming women. I lead an executive lean-in group for them. I do a lot of different things for global gaming women with the belief to uplift and support women and help them, believe in themselves to achieve whatever it is they want to achieve. And that is, not just for my family and enriching my children's life, it's also to the community and abroad. And I really do believe that the good work that I'm doing is being paid forward through my children to their friends, through my community and the people that they know. And I really do believe in that pay it forward mentality.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I think it's very important to be conscious of our actions and what we do and understand in our actions that we are paying it forward and be like, as you said, I love the word you used before, intentional about what we're doing and how we're passing it forward and what the legacy around that we want to see in the long run.
And I just want to speak to that too. I have an intentional plan for all the people that I work with, whether it's my children or my marriage or the people I manage or the community. Like I have planned intentions with everybody, when that could be something as simple as teaching my 2-year-old to, you know, to potty train him, right? Or to teach my girls different things. And so I think that's a really good point, Ivy, is to have an intentional plan. And sometimes those plans, for the people that are on the receiving end of those, like the kids that don't want to do their chores or, boards I lead, it's challenging, but in the long run, I know it's for their best interest, and which is why I do it. And I think that is key. And sometimes for those that, are, employees or have managers that you don't like, understand sometimes the tough managers are the people that push you the hardest. And they make you make decisions in your life, not because they're trying to be tough, mean people, but because they see something in you that you may not see in yourself. So they're pushing you to be better than you are. And I think, if you're open and you have the opportunity to deal with tough managers, look at how they're trying to lead you and help you, not just from a negative perspective, but really flip your mindset and learn why they're doing it.
So, being the busy woman you are, Melissa, what drove you to start your podcast, Executive Connect?
That's a great question. I joke,
Because you
my
have
husband
so
and
much
I
spare
joke.
time. Yeah, between everything else you do, the traveling, the family, the work,
Yeah.
boards, etc. Like, oh, I think I have a free like 20 hours a week. I'll start a podcast.
It's funny. My husband's like, you need another thing to do. Like you need a hole in your head. And so the podcast was really not about me. It was about all the people I know and all the brilliant things that they've learned along their journey, and to share it out with others. And it's funny because really the podcast started with me interviewing my friends and people that I loved and adored. And then they said, hey, I want you to interview this person. And magically, I've found other people online. And really, the whole idea behind that podcast, it is 100% pay it forward, pay it back. The things I've learned and I've achieved have been through my experiences, but through other people that have taught me things. And so I bring those people forward to learn things like, negotiating your salary, for example. If you've never known you can negotiate, where do you start, right? So I brought Aaron on, and I've had other people about leadership and imposter syndrome and all these things that at one point in our life, we all have at some point. And so I bring these
Absolutely.
people forward for that reason.
I love it. So, Melissa, let me ask you this. What is one piece of advice for our listeners today? Our listeners are leaders in organizations, people leading their own businesses, people with families, responsibilities, the women like you and men like you who are involved in things. What is one thing that you could suggest that you have learned to pass down as a tip?
I think be present on what's top of mind for you, being present and really focusing on, because you can't focus on 10 goals at the same time and be really focused. So you really have to pick those top 3 things that you're going to focus on and go at them. And if there are things like your career and you're going to have to move or change your kid's school or whatever it is, have a family talk about it, sit down, talk about it. Because once you have families and children, our choices and decisions affect everyone. And that is whether you have kids or not have kids. So really focus on your goals. You can't focus on 10, pick a couple that you want to focus on this month. And then next month, if you didn't get very far, maybe look at changing your goals. I think really being mindful and present on what you're focusing on. I think in the world today, with cognitive overload and 1,000 things being thrown at us daily, we really have to pull back, shut our computers, pull out our pencil, and really focus on what we need to focus on. And when you're focusing on those goals, really be all in on those goals. And if you get pop-ups on Teams or your emails blowing up or whatever's happening, all the noise, I call it noise, you got to put it aside and really focus. Otherwise, you're going to get 10 years down the road and we're going to do, oh, I shoulda, woulda, coulda. I wish I would have done that.
100%. The woulda, shoulda, coulda game. I call it, we'd still be treading water and going nowhere.
Yeah. And the only way to really, and then grade yourself, right? So look at your goals and say, okay, I was able to get these two done. Great. Put a check mark, and move to your third goal and really grade your own self on how you're doing and ask for feedback as well.
Well, Melissa, thank you so much for joining me here on Her Success Story today.
Thank you so much for inviting me to be here today. I really appreciate it, Ivy.
And listeners, take a moment and think about, you took the time to listen in. Take that breath and identify one thing that is your takeaway. What is your takeaway from being present and listening into Her Success Story today with the conversation with myself and Melissa? And then make the decision on the action you're going to take, and that is your gift to yourself. Great movement in life, great ambition, great accomplishments comes with taking the baby steps and actions. And that's what I encourage you to do today. If this episode was helpful to you, if you enjoyed it, pass it forward to a friend and remember to hit subscribe. We come into your inbox with new episodes every Monday morning. Thank you and see you next time.